Hello everybody, welcome back to Milkweeds and Roses. Well, we've had an interesting last couple of nights. Another cycle of extreme heat and then a whole bunch of rain. And then the heat comes back again. So some of my containers are a little worse for the wear, and I think this is a good time to reevaluate some of those troubled spots in your garden, or maybe some areas that haven't grown the way you expected, or maybe tumultuous weather like we've been having has made some things look less than great. You can still change it up. In fact, this is a good time to get some annuals, maybe fill them in, because you will find that a number of your local garden centers will have deep discounts on a lot of your plants, and it's because it's been a long summer and these plants need to get in the ground. And you can take advantage of that by snapping them up now, maybe getting them in the ground yourself. So I look for some good deals, not just on annuals that can fit into some of the areas in my garden that could use maybe a pop of color, or maybe just something where something failed to thrive and I need to replace it. So I'm getting a couple of perennials to add in the garden in a couple of spots, and things that will do well in this humidity, this heat. And man, all this rain, check this out. This is just from, despite the algae, this is just from one night's rainfall. It's been so wet, in fact, that all of the numbers have washed off of my little measuring cup here. But, you know, just eyeballing it, it looks like we had more than 3 inches of rain overnight. It was coming down. And I just spoke to a gal this morning who said that they had 5 inches of rain, all in like a 6-hour period. So that's a lot. So it is a good idea to look at some of your plants and see how they're handling all of that. So to that end, even though it is really hot right now, I mean, some folks and some people appreciate that. I mean, for example, my Chihuahua, do you see him back there? No, there's nothing wrong with him. I do keep track of him, but he actually likes to bask in the sun. I have to call him in the house. Sometimes he doesn't even want to come. I'm like, come on, honey, it's just too hot out here. Not just for me, but for you too. So versus a little guy, I usually find him in the shade on the cool stone. So, you know, I don't leave him out here very long. And this is a good reminder, by the way, to keep track of your pets and your people during a heat wave. Be responsible, all right? So, well, we've got some work to do until I peter out from all this heat, but let's see what we can get done. Here we go. I've been looking at various locations and moving this around the garden. And now that this limb is down here from my backyard maple, that opens up a lot of sky for some sun that didn't used to be quite as strong in this area, at least not for as long. I mean, right now it's almost 1 o'clock in the afternoon, and now this gets sun starting at sunrise until I think about 4 o'clock. So that's pretty much full sun. Now the roses are going to like it, of course, but I think this Heliopsis will as well. And not to mention, this is a native. The bees, the pollinators like it. And having some tall color with the red stems in this area, I think would be good. And it also handles drier conditions, which is normally what this is, not just, you know, because of the sun, but also with this maple tree in this root zone, things need supplemental moisture. Otherwise, they just don't tend to do pretty well. So things that handle the drought, like hardy geraniums, bearded iris, need to deadhead this, by the way. Here we go. Bearded iris will do well. And I think there was a hydrangea in here, but I think in this particular area, that's that one that never thrived. So I took it out, and I think this would be a good substitute instead. The hostas, they have shallower roots, so they're fine. They don't struggle as much, but I think this would be a good fit for this space. And like I said, some yellow, some brighter color will pop against this dark fence. So I think I'm going to put that there. So this gets a lot more shade here in this area. So hostas do well. I keep adding hostas and moving hostas to this area. These are late blooming hostas. I can't tell you the variety. They were here when we moved in. A couple of these were. So now I've added this one, and I've transplanted Autumn Joy sedum to here. But I also think because this is an area, not right now, not at 1 o'clock in the afternoon, but this does get some morning sun that filters through over the window here in between the houses, comes down, and it also gets afternoon sun. So the sun is just about ready to peek out behind the trees, and so that means all afternoon this area right here where the rose is, Bessie's purple, and the bearded iris, and the phlox is already, it gets it first, hits the phlox first. So the phlox gets that, and I think this would also be a good spot for some lighter foliage. So this, I think, would blend in pretty well. That's what I'm looking at. Although it's an icy blue color versus a golden white color. So I just kind of move these pots around to see if this is where I want it. See how that looks, or do I want it right here? Maybe. But it's almost like it's too much straight back like that with the phlox when it blooms. This will continue to bloom, it'll rebloom. So I'll just deadhead that. I don't know about a white straight line from here to here to here to here. And there's a little too much root competition right in the base of the white pine. So it brings me back to my other spot again. Let's see if this will work. Also, it's rabbit resistant. They don't like the scent of that, so that might help to keep it away from my rose. I know I have some tulip bulbs in that area, but I don't think I have some this far back. I'm going to try it right here. Okay. I begin by clearing away the space where I want to plant the coneflower. And there's an awful lot of needle cast here from the white pine behind me. My neighbors have a pine that has, I think, died. It's not just your typical needle cast then. So there are pine needles everywhere here. And that's on top of the cedar mulch that we put down in the early spring. So I always dig areas here by hand, just because there is a lot of landscape lighting and there's electrical wiring in there. And I know that from calling that number that you have to do, which I recommend for everyone. Find out what service lines and wires are down before you do any digging. And then taking a look at the roots here. Well, this is why some of these plants, perennials and annuals, are discounted at garden stores, because a number of them are root bound. This one isn't bad at all, really, but still, I opened up the roots here just to give it some little more growing room, help it breathe a little bit better, and that'll help it grow in this spot a little better. So get it turned around the way I want it to be here. And I put in some very mild fertilizer, Omni-Meal, that I got from Heirloom Roses, and then replanted just with existing soil. And yes, look how thick the pine mulch is here. It's like a natural pine mulch, which a lot of people love. But yeah, I got that one for free. Okay, so secure that and make sure to tamp down the area so that it makes good contact with the roots and the soil. And also it kind of discourages little diggers, our little digging friends. And I think from a distance it looks really good here. The silver mound artemisia, the ghost artemisia in the background here. It's a nice white foliage for this area. It kind of brightens it up quite a bit. And I know with this coneflower, same thing. Peeking out behind the sedum there. I think that's going to be a nice spot, and it can handle full sun and the thirsty area this tends to be because of all of the root competition from mature trees. But I like the way this looks. It seems like a needed color in here. Then we go off to my damp lower north garden, and this is a beautiful spot. Hey, this guy. What you doing? But this is where I'm going to put the heuchera that I got, the coral bells. Well, I knew that watching it for a while, Gabe and I both watching it for a while, that this side gets the full sun, which is fine if you're a Chihuahua and you enjoy basking in the sun, or daylilies, or Joe Pye weed, tall and short. But you can see the demarcation here. One side in the sun, and then you can see the other side in the shade, and also gets a little more moisture there, so that would be a better spot. So I set about digging with my favorite little digger, also shadowing me. And you know, the ground here was, yes, pretty damp. It's heavy clay. I've worked hard to try to put the right plant in the right place here, because grass just does not grow very well. It's simply too wet and too heavy, and frankly a lot of shade on this side of this lower north bed. So getting the spade in there again, my gosh, again, I need to be wearing the boots, get a sturdier sole to even though we've had a lot of rain, it's still pretty hefty to get a spade in there. And this grass that I pulled up, I relocated to other blank spots in the front yard, so keeping the hubby happy. And the end result, I like the way the color flow is here. The pretty cranberry on the left flowing to the pink astilbe, and the eye follows in a nice little circle and finds the cranberry color all the way around. So overall, I'm pleased. Well, it actually took a couple days to get this planting done because of the extreme heat and the weather. So in fact, right now it says it's 97% humidity. And I always can tell even before looking it up about what the humidity is. But anyway, summer planting can be done. You do have to take heat breaks. You have to work responsibly because it is hard on the body as well as hard on the plants. And even though you might have had a lot of rain like I have, when you put the plants in, it is important to at least water them in, even lightly, because you're settling air pockets, okay? To make sure that the soil has contact with the roots all the way through. So, you know, if we're lucky it won't rain for a couple of days. We've certainly had our share. What's the weather like in your corner of the world? Oh man, I tell you. Well, it certainly keeps it interesting, doesn't it? We can say that. It keeps it interesting. Anyway, I hope you subscribe to the channel and like the video, and hey, let me know if you have any questions. It's always nice to be growing together. We'll see you soon. you.